Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gaura Premanandi. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text number 13. Eko nanatvam anvichchan. Eko nanatvam anvichchan. Yogatalpat samutitaha. Yogatalpat samutitaha. Viryam hiranmayam devo. Viryam hiranmayam devo. Mayaya vishrujatruda. Mayaya vyasrujatruda. Ekaha. He, one alone. Nanatvam. Varieties. Anvichchan. So desiring. Yogatalpat. From the bedstead of mystic slumber. Samutitaha. Thus generated. Viryam. The seminar. Hiranmayam. Golden hue. Devaha. The demigod. Mayaya. By the external energy. Vyasrajat. Perfectly created. Trida. In three features. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord, while lying on his bed of mystic slumber, generated the seminal symbol, golden in hue, through external energy out of his desire to manifest varieties of living entities from himself alone. Please repeat. The Lord, while lying on his bed of mystic slumber, generated the seminal symbol, golden in hue, through external energy, out of his desire to manifest varieties of living entities from himself alone. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text number 7 and 8, the creation and annihilation of the material world are stated as follows. Sarvabhutani konteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpado visrajamyaham prakritim swamavastabhya visrajami punah punah bhuttagramam imam kritsnam avasam prakrite vasat. Translation to that Sanskrit. At the end of each millennium, the creative forces, namely the material energy and the living entities who struggle in the material nature, all merge together into the transcendental body of the Lord. And again, when the Lord desires to manifest them, all of them are again displayed by the Lord. Therefore, the material nature is working under the control of the Lord. All of them, under the agency of material nature and under the control of the Lord, are thus repeatedly created and annihilated by the will of the Lord. That was Bhagavad Gita. Back to Bhagavatam. As such, Before the creation or manifestation of the material cosmic world, the Lord exists as total energy, Mahasamasti, and thus desiring himself to be diffused to many, he expands himself further into multi-total energy, Samasti. From the multi-total energy, he further expands himself into individuals in 3 dimensions, namely Adhyatmic, Adhidaivic and Adhibautic, as explained before, Vyasti. As such, the whole creation and the creative energies are non-different and different simultaneously. Because everything is an emanation from him, the Mahavishnu or Mahasamasti, nothing of the cosmic energies is different from him. But all such expanded energies have specific functions and display as designed by the Lord, and therefore they are simultaneously different from the Lord. The living entities are also similar energy, marginal potency of the Lord, and thus they are simultaneously one with and different from him. At the stage of non-manifestation, the living energies remain potent in the Lord, and when they are let loose in the cosmic manifestation, they are exhibited differently in terms of different desires under the modes of nature. Such differential manifestations of the living energies are conditional states of the living entities. The liberated living entities, however, in the Sanatan eternal manifestation, are unconditionally surrendered souls, and therefore they are not subject to the conditions of creation and annihilation. So this creation takes place by the glance of the Lord from his bedstead of mystic slumber, and thus all the universes and the Lord of the universe, Brahma, are again and again manifested and annihilated. Everything starts from the bed, the mystic bedstead of slumber, the abode of Tamagun for us mortals, whereas when the Lord lies down, he enters into a state called Yoga Nidra, the mystic slumber. The living entities, when they take rest, they become overwhelmed by a state of slumber. There's 3 states of consciousness: wakefulness, deep sleep, and like an unconscious. And then there's a 4th state, turiya, transcendental state. And the mind becomes conscious of those things. When the living entity is deeply asleep and feels satisfied, he becomes rejuvenated. The living entity becomes rejuvenated. Actually, what's happening is the individual soul, the jiva soul, is drawing energy from the super soul, is lying down with the super soul. The super soul is there nourishing. And we're in that state, and like covered over. When we get woken up, sometimes we're woken up because the sleep is not very deep, where we're constantly awake, and sleep, insomnia, or like that. Other times, deep sleep, and maybe we've set the alarm. Often we have the experience that just before the alarm goes off, we become conscious. That covering, that mystic covering is removed, and the super soul shakes us, wakes us up. So we've got some rejuvenation by the association of the super soul. When the Lord wakes up, he's always awake. He's never resting, but he goes through his expansion. The expansion of his energy manifests the universes through this process. The Lord is one. Here there's a lot of expression of this simultaneous oneness and at the same time inconceivable difference, and there's different examples. So here we have an example in relationship to how the universe is, how everything is created. Everything is one. Everything is spiritual. Ultimately, even the physicists they say E equals mc squared. That energy equals mass accelerated to the speed of light, and double that again. So if you move mass around enough, then it transforms into its energetic portion. And actually it looks like it's solid, looks like it's mass, but there's a lot of space in there, a lot of things moving around. So everything's ultimately spiritual. Spiritual is the source of Krishna, is the cause of all causes. The spiritual energy is the cause of all causes. So the spiritual energy is emanating from the Supreme Person. Energy, it doesn't just float around. Even our electrical energy, for a young child, they'll look up and they'll see the lights and they'll become amazed. Oh, there's a bright spark there. And when they get a little bit older, when their consciousness develops, they'll learn that if you do something with the switch, then the light, the energy gets turned off or continues to go. The person who's like older, they understand that if you don't pay your electricity bill, then you'll get cut off, because the electricity is coming from a company, from a person, and electricity is actually generated by the engineer. There's a whole source. There's a very tangible source for these energies. So it's infantile to think that there's just energy everywhere, and we're just in touch with the energy. Yes, energy is our source. We are non-different from the energy. We are one with that energy, but at the same time, we're different. When we wake up, universes don't emanate from the pores of our skin. When we wake up, we have to shake ourselves out. We have to sit down and take bath and refresh ourselves and chant 16 rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, just to get a semblance of peace in our mind and some normality. Krishna, he's full in himself. Abhigna and Shvarat. He's fully conscious, he's fully independent. He's the source. Some people say it's the universe, some people say it's the impersonal aspect is the source, but ultimately the source comes back to a person, with the example of the electricity, the powerhouse, and the engineer who runs the powerhouse. So this simultaneous one and difference. The Vedic concept of creation is it's all energy. It's Krishna's energy, but it's not simple. It's simple that it's all Krishna. It comes from in the material energy. The material world is a place for conditioned living entities to come and try and experience how they can act separately. They can act as though they are the Supreme. They have all these desires that they need to fulfill. So the material manifestation is created to fulfill all those desires of all those different living entities. Different living entities, they can manifest in 8,400,000 different species. So many different desires made from the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion and ignorance. And then they're intermixing and they're mingling a certain amount of goodness. I like a bit of poetry, but I also like to discuss poetry or philosophy in the hotel over a few ales. So there's the mode of ignorance, there's the mode of passion. I want to be out amongst the people. That's where the association is possible. So different modes. There's all these different facilities for all the different desires. So originally, the pristine, pure, spiritual world inhabited by liberated, not conditioned living entities is our home. And in order to leave that place, we have to have a little seed of envy, a little independent idea that well, why can't I be the one? Why can't I be the centre, the focus of everything? So we've all been through that. We've all expressed that. So that's why we're here. The evidence, if you want to understand what you were in a previous life, you look at where you are now. This is a result of those desires, the situation we are in, the association, the tastes, the tongue, the eyes, the set of senses that we've all developed as a result of the desires. They're always there, but then when the manifestation, when the creation, we just are let loose again. Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita purports and in the end of this purport, the living entities, they're let loose into the material creation. And immediately we get our defects package, we get all of our senses and our facilities to facilitate expressing, trying to live out, trying to fulfill those desires. To realize that we're not the ultimate one, and to take guidance from somebody who has superior wisdom, superior vision, is the beginning of actual human form of life. Just because we have 2 arms and 2 legs and we have a bit of a rational way of thinking, that doesn't mean human being. A human platform of life, human form of life, human state of life begins when we start to question. Who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I suffering? Where am I supposed to go? What's it all about? Most people, when in their waking up from their tamagun, they have those questions, but before they get nagged by that question, they turn on the radio, or they light up a cigarette, or they get a cup of coffee, something just to stimulate the senses, just to blot out that awareness, that consciousness. So we've chosen to stay in touch with that probing question, who am I? And by somehow or other, some good fortune, we've been able to come in contact with a source of transcendental information. Information which is coming from beyond the world of imperfection. Knowledge is traditionally encased in the texts of the traditions, and the great souls who practice that knowledge, who develop their lifestyle based on that knowledge. They are what do you call access points, where you can access, where you can get to take advantage of those situations and that information, and also the example, the role models, how to practice being a spirit soul rather than practice being a body. If you want to, we don't need any practice being a material body; it just comes naturally. Just like when we first get the body, then in the child's body, protected by the parents, by the family, hopefully, and then growing up reasonably. What would you say? Not normally. Now normal growing up is full of all sorts of chaos, but reasonably peacefully at a certain age, then all these hormones and different things start to kick in, and we start to become aware of another state or another level of enjoyment. Then at that time, the senses become more fields of experimentation, fields of pleasure. The senses, and then the mind, starting to think, starting to imagine, starting to develop ideas, and all throughout the stages of growing up, the end goal has been happiness, pleasure. Anandamoya Vyasat. This is the nature of the living entity. We're pleasure seeking. Pleasure seeking. Anandamoya Vyasat. So the maturing of self-awareness, self-realization means we start to become conscious of the temporary nature of the world, conscious of the bad bargain of just investing material energy to try and enjoy material energy. We have to start to dig deep and cultivate a deeper awareness, cultivate spiritual knowledge, spiritual awareness, and then try and find out ways to express that. Very simple, and then becoming more what you call sophisticated. Krishna consciousness, spiritual life is simple for the simple-hearted, but if you have a crooked disposition, then it can become contorted. What a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. You get caught up and you get a credit card and you get so many things, and then suddenly you've got huge. You thought you were just going to enjoy now and pay later, but you never get around to paying later. It just becomes out of control. It becomes a monster devouring us. Eventually you just take it and cut it up and say, okay, I can't handle this, I'm not mature enough, I'm going to just stay at home and try and rein in my senses, get a little bit of control of those raging horses. I've been let loose, but like a child in a playpen, I need more guidance, I need more support. Liberated living entities. There's, at the end of the purport, Prabhupada here describes the liberated living entities in the Sanatan eternal manifestation are unconditionally surrendered souls, and therefore they are not subject to the conditions of creation and annihilation. Unconditionally surrendered. We're just reading about a great personality, Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, he's the spiritual master of the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. And he was the first one to bring that practice of worshipping God in the conjugal mood, in the mood of lover and beloved. And the ultimate expression of that mood is the feelings of separation. It's said that separation makes the heart grow fonder. When we're in contact, then reality is there. And if we're really attached, if we become devoted and surrendered and our lives are fully involved in that experience, then when we're separated, then that experience becomes more intense. Separation makes the heart grow fonder. We're thinking in the mood of separation. So Madhavendra Puri, he was expressing and experiencing that mood, and as evidence of how developed, how close his relationship was with his beloved, Krishna would appear in his dream and direct him. I'm in this bush. When the Muslims came and attacked the temple, then the devotees, they dug a hole and they put the deities in there. This is what's happening in Ukraine at the moment. The deities, the big deities, have all been buried in sand. They're all being protected, and hopefully, and so long as there's some devotees left, then the worship will go on. And many devotees have left, so that again they can come back afterwards and then begin the worship. So Madhavendra Puri, in a dream, he was directed by Gopal. Here I am. Come and find me. So he found the deity. He went there with all the villagers, explained his dream, and they already knew that he was quite an exalted personality. They followed him. They rescued the deity, and then they installed the deity. Big, what's it called? Anakut ceremony. Krishna said, I've been in this hole for so long. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm hot. So everybody, they bathed and they dressed and they cooked and they brought all of their food stuff. All the villagers brought mountains of food grains and everything was cooked up. And then there was a big offering. And Krishna just devoured everything. in the process of offering food to Krishna, then because of his mercy, sometimes he eats. The plates are, you come in and you want to take the plate off the altar and there's something missing. Often we bring the plates off here and within a couple of seconds all of the burfis have disappeared off the plate. But that's just a very eager prasadam fiend who's come in and stolen all the burfis. Sometimes Krishna does eat, but generally he eats and he relishes the offering, the taste, the bhakti which is there, and he leaves his remnants. So in this big festival, then all of the villagers they would come, they would unconditionally surrender. They would bring all of their food stuff. The village doesn't have so much stores of grains. You've got enough. You offer it, you cook it up, and then it would be distributed. So then they'd have to go back to their fields and start growing again and get more food stuff. But they didn't go hungry, because next day the villagers in the next village, they came along and they offered all of their food stuff, and there was another big feast and everybody was invited to come along. It's more of a, we've got excess, we'll share and we'll distribute here now. After some time, the villagers, all the villagers in the area, they'd performed that ceremony, and then the worship settled down. And the deity again appeared, Gopal again appeared in a dream to Madhavendra Puri and said, I'm hot. I need cooling down. So please get some sandalwood pulp, very cooling when smeared on the body. In Mayapur, there's a very nice festival. Lord Nrsingadev's appearance day. Lord Nrsingadev's appearance day, it coincides, or part of the celebrations for that festival is a Maha Sudarshan Yajna, worshipping Sudarshan, the personal weapon of the Lord, a personal associate of the Lord. So there's a big fire yajna, big fire sacrifice, and the fire gets huge, and you're sitting there for 4 hours. So during that festival, some of the assistants to the priests, they have ground up big containers full of sandalwood pulp. And you're sitting there and offering that, and somebody comes along and smears it all over you, and just so you can tolerate the heat. Fresh, high quality sandalwood pulp, it's tangible, the cooling effect, and it's very fragrant, very, very uplifting. You walk out of there after that 4 hours like a mummy. You've been embalmed in all of this sandalwood pulp. So Gopal, he needed such a treatment. He was over in Vrindavan, and Madhavendra Puri, he agreed immediately to take on the task of walking thousands of miles, thousands of kilometres across India to Jagannath Puri. At Jagannath Puri, at the temple there, the government look after the big stocks of sandalwood and camphor. It's said that these things are under the control of the government. Under the control of the government. The government's supposed to be keeping all of the things in their treasury, or their different treasuries, for the people. You have a stock full of gold, you have a stock full of fragrant unguents and perfumes and things for offering the deities. You have a stock full of ghee and milk products. You have a treasury full of those things. So it's said that when there is a need, the king or the government, they should open up their treasury and make things available for the people who need it. So Madhavendra Puri, he went there and he told the devotees, the local devotees, they had some contacts in the government. They went and arranged, and the government released, it was 82 pounds, almost 40 kilograms of sandalwood, big logs of sandalwood, and 8 ounces, half a kilo of camphor. So Madhavendra Puri, he received those things, he was very happy, he could take them back to his Lord and continue the service. And then the devotees, they also arranged the government would give papers so that it was recognised that travelling from Jagannath Puri back to Vrindavan through the territories which were controlled a lot by the Muslims, that they would not be hampered, not be harassed. Madhavendra Puri, he got a couple of assistants. They loaded up all of the sandalwood on their backs and they started to walk. And Madhavendra Puri was just satisfied. He'd done this incredible service. He was not in anxiety because he had the papers. Sometimes you meet an authority, sometimes you meet an official. I was once in Tasmania and just distributing some literature in a car park. In Tasmania it's a bit foggy early in the morning, so it was misty, it was quite mysterious. And somehow or other I met the person who told me about the name of the manager of the centre. I hadn't got permission, but I got the name of the manager of the centre. And then a little bit later, again by divine arrangement, somebody came out, they emerged out through the mist and they became offended. Hey, what are you doing here? And they started yelling and screaming and they said, I said, well, I've got permission, I've talked to such and such. So it pacified their upset. So as Madhavendra Puri was travelling through the lands, he met some toll collectors, met some checkpoints. And at one place, then at the checkpoints, they're always ready to fleece you. They always want some tax, some payment. In Mayapur, sometimes you're driving along the road and there's a couple of 44-gallon drums on the side of the road, and then there's some kids there standing on the side of the road and they've got some receipt book. You've got to pay the tax, And you talk to them for a little bit, then you drive straight through. They're not bona fide. Their book is just a forgery. But sometimes then there's a little bit more authority. So and this particular stop, then Madhavendra Puri, they confiscated all of his sandalwood. His mission for travelling, it was being thwarted, but immediately he was able to present the papers and took possession again of the sandalwood. He got back to, with his assistants and the goods, back to the Ramuna Temple. The Ramuna Temple is a deity known as Shira Chora Gopinath. Madhavendra Puri had a dream and the deity had fulfilled his desire and stolen a pot of sweet rice. So he went back there, the priest, they recognised him and they gave him sweet rice again. And again that night, Madhavendra Puri, after chanting through most of the night, he drifted off a little bit. He had another dream and the Lord appeared and said, I've already received the sandalwood. Shira Chora, Gopinath, Gopal and Vrindavan, we're the same. We're non-different. So I've received it. If you just stay here and grind up the sandalwood pulp and smear it over my body, then I'll feel cool over in Vrindavan. So in order, he recognised, the deity Krishna recognised the loving austerities that Madhavendra Puri was performing in order to please his beloved. It's said that the austerities of preaching are insignificant when compared to the happiness of devotional service. All these austerities, they're like child's play. We take them on, and while we're immersed in, if we have that mood of surrender, then we're happy. We're thinking of the object of our activities. So this is the mood of the liberated living entities, are unconditionally surrendered. They'll do whatever is asked by their beloved. They've developed that much faith, that much attachment. So they're not concerned about external trivial things. What does liberation look like? Well, we become free from the mentalities, the prejudices, the attitudes, the things which are driven by a contaminated calculation about how to enjoy in the world. We're free from those things. It's said that if you continue to engage in philanthropic, devotional practices, then eventually those self-aggrandizement, those expressions, those desires, they tend to become a couple of words. Anyway, they get overwhelmed. They disappear. You're going on, you're doing things, and you're doing things for the benefit of others, for the benefit of the devotees, for the benefit of Krishna. Then after a while you realise, well, I had this desire. I wanted to. This is what. But actually, it's been fulfilled. I've enjoyed on a different level, and that's become insignificant. That's paled into insignificance. I'm not interested in that anymore. So, freed from sin, Krishna, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadhamam prityagya mam ekam sharanam brajaham tvam sarvatapabhyo mokshayashyami ma sucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Religion in that sense means concocted, man-made, time-serving activities. If I just work hard at this job for the next 25, 30, 40 years, then I've surrendered my life to that. At the end I'll get a gold watch and I'll get a holiday. But it doesn't satisfy you. No, I'll just engage now fully in trying to satisfy the Lord of my heart, because that's my constitutional nature. I'm not the body, I'm a spirit soul, I'm a spiritual entity. And Krishna promises that I'll deliver you from all sinful reactions. If you work for trying to please selfish desires, then there's always a payoff, there's always a price to pay. There's always a price to pay. But if you work for the ultimate good, then those desires become diminished. You realise that the thirst for pleasure, for satisfaction, it's already fulfilled. You want to dress nicely. In the Krishna consciousness, we put our time and energy into dressing Krishna nicely. You put all of your heart and your desires into decorating the deity, and you see how amazing he looks. And you can feel satisfied. It's said that the ornaments on special festival days, that the devotees, they give gifts, and you can look and you see, oh, Krishna's wearing that gift I gave him, or that garland I made. Look, it's so beautiful. Actually, by putting those beautiful things, which we would like to enjoy separately, if we put them next to Krishna, then Krishna himself, he's the beauty of those ornaments. It's, what's it called? Sorry, there's a word for that. Baswan, I think. He's the one who makes the ornaments more beautiful. The ornaments become more beautiful by being placed on the body of the Lord. Just like a diamond. A diamond on its own, you can be surrounded by mountains of diamonds. This looks like glass. It's nothing special. But you take a nice diamond and you cut it, the facets, and it reflects, and then you put it against a black background, and you can see the fire within it. You can see the contrast. So you offer valuable things to the source of everything, then it becomes more beautiful. So that desire to dress in fancy clothes and to enjoy like that, if we redirect that desire towards trying to make Krishna the most well-dressed, most well-fed, most sitting in the most clean environment, then our heart will also become satisfied. Our heart will become clean. We become free from sinful desires. Krishna, they melt away. It's said with the fire of transcendental knowledge, also all of those sinful things, they get burnt like in a blazing fire. And there's another verse, upadi, savupadi vinimuktam, the byproduct. It's automatic. Devotional activities, service to the Supreme, then there's causeless knowledge and detachment developed within the heart. It's a mystical process, but it's tangible. We're not getting paid for what we're doing, but we keep on doing. We're addicted. We do the same thing again and again. morning, evening, all through the day, and we just have satisfaction. It works. It's real. We challenge. We offer to people. Just give it a try. Try chanting this mantra. Try just only eating this food stuff. And if you're not satisfied, then we'll give you your money back. But most people become very satisfied, very uplifted. So simultaneous, one and different. Krishna, he's the source of everything. He lies down on his bed, and from his pores, breathing out from his pore, as he breathes out from the pores of his skin, universes manifest. He enters again, he expands himself again, and he enters into all of those universes, and he lies down on a bed made of Sheshanag, the serpent who's there at the... He has many different manifestations. Jaundice Swami, he once made a comment that people who manufacture those floating air beds, if they were to hear about the airbed or the bedstead of the Lord, they would start to make with 1,000 hooded nagas, and it would become very popular. So Krishna, he lies down on that bedstead, and then again the universes, they become animated. This seminal symbol and the golden glow, they become active. And again, the Lord expands himself into another form, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and enters into each of the hearts of all of those universes, the hearts of all the living entities. So he's there from the beginning to the end. He's always, it's him. It's that energy throughout everything. So simultaneously one, but then there's all that difference. This level of this level, and everywhere. The Lord is everywhere. That energy is everywhere. We're one with, but at the same time inconceivably different. Living entities, when we become separated, disconnected, then that difference is more visible. But even if we do become liberated, unconditionally surrendered, we have that individuality, we're connected, but we're not affected by creation and annihilation. Time is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. So I should have stopped earlier and asked if there's any questions. I heard Mukunda Maharaj was saying that the devotees also, they're in love, they're becoming enamored, they like to discuss philosophy. They have different ideas, and then they just want to see how things are all, reconciled in the light of this amazing philosophy and association. Does anybody have any questions or any comments?
So how do you actually become conditioned souls? Is it just because of the material world?
Conditioning is what happens when we first decide to challenge the position of the Supreme. When we first think that, okay, a seed of envy creeps into our heart. We're originally pure, just like when the rain falls from the sky, it's pure. When it comes down and hits the ground, it mixes with the earth. It becomes muddy. So conditioning is like dirt, contamination. But if you take that same water, the muddy water, and you allow it to settle, then still the pristine, pure, clean water is there. It's still there, but it's got dirt in it. So we've just accepted a little grain of envy, a little bit of dirt. We've desired that. We wanted to enjoy separately. We wanted to be the one. So that conditioning, and there's all these different multifarious ways that we can try and enjoy. We keep trying, we keep experimenting, but if we are fortunate, then we start to realise, well, this is not getting me anywhere. I'm getting frustrated. Let me give up that attitude. But it's not that easy. Like I renounce that. I don't want to have anything to do with that. We have to we have to expunge, we have to cleanse those desires from within our heart. So that takes a very intense cleansing process. Just like if you have a lump of coal black. You start scrubbing coal, it's black soot all over the place. But if you take that same piece of coal and you put it under intense pressure, like it's buried under the ground, it's pressure for many, that coal will transform into a diamond. So the same thing with our hearts, our nature. If we come to the point where we want to accept those austerities, we can put ourselves under the guidance and perform under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual authority, perform spiritual purificatory activities. And they're simple in this time and in this age. It's basically hearing and chanting. We just, instead of hearing all sorts of nonsense, we just listen to the sound vibration of the holy names. And we talk about that. And that, in due course of time, will purify those nasty things within the heart. And the conditioning, it slowly goes away. It becomes like a distant memory. As more and more spiritual experiences and spiritual uplifting activities, they take over. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Okay. We can get to the next.
Sorry, it's not so much intellectual question, but just more. Where can we read about the story of Madhavendra and the villagers when they kind of got fuzzy in the bush?
It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 4. Yeah, this purport also refers to Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text number 7 and 8. So there's more detailed description of the process of creation. And then, but anywhere we pick up any of Prabhupada's books, they're sweet. They're sweet at any point. If we just, it appears distasteful. Oh, I've got to read it. It's going to tell me again. I've got to chant Hare Krishna. I'm not the body. But if you just pick it up, that distaste, which is considered to be like jaundice, when you live in the material world, sometimes you get a disease, and the disease, there's a cure. Jaundice, your skin turns yellow, your liver gets clogged up. The cure for jaundice is to take sugar candy. But as you take the sugar candy, initially it tastes bitter. It's extremely bitter. It's too strong. But you understand, you have faith in the physician. He said, take sugar candy, and you keep taking. And eventually the original taste of your tongue will experience sweetness again. Same thing with the purification process of hearing and chanting. In the beginning, because the heart's sick, the heart's black, the heart's dirty, we're not inclined to it. But if we keep on taking the medicine, then eventually the heart will become cleansed, and the actual natural sweetness of all of these descriptions, these texts, these names, these sounds will become available to us, and we won't be able to. Lord Chaitanya, he was chanting Hare Krishna all the time, and once he went to the bathroom, and he was in the bathroom. One of his disciples overheard him. He stopped chanting. He was biting his tongue while he was in the bathroom. And then his disciple said, "Why did you do that? You can chant all the time. You don't need to adjust to the contaminated place of the body." And then Lord Chaitanya said, "Okay, yeah, the holy name is pure. I won't do that anymore." And this young boy, he said, "Okay, your name's Gopal. I'll call you Gopal Guru. You're my guru. You've explained to me how to understand, how to relish the spiritual sound vibration." It's good to be in the association of people who have a taste, who have experience with how to chant, how to read, how to understand, how to use your intelligence to penetrate into the mysteries of this world. Who am I? Where have I come from? It's we're all on a journey. Life's a journey, and when we can get in association with like-minded people, like-minded souls, then we get support, we get encouragement, It's not a lonely battle anymore. So I'll thank you very much. Have a happy holiday. And next purificatory process is to honour Krishna Prasadam. And then we'll see you again tomorrow. Chance to chant and dance and discuss the philosophy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.